Latrice Curry. Join us as we celebrate survivors of heart disease and stroke and help save women's lives. Learn more at ChattanoogaGoRed.heart.org.
We are having beautiful weather now here in the Tennessee Valley. Spring is here. Summer is right around the corner. Perhaps the most beautiful season of the year here, but also for an awful lot of us, that dreaded time of year to be buying bathing suits, putting on your shorts, and not hiding really from the weight that you might be wishing you could lose. So we're very happy this morning to have on the show Dr. John Jaquish. He is with Jaquish Biomedical, and he's going to kind of guide us through this morning some tips he has discovered on how to get your bones stronger, your muscles stronger, burning that fat, and looking and feeling your best. So nice to see you this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Admittedly, I hit the vanity part first because sometimes that's what drives people to try to find the right diet, if you will, the right lifestyle that works for them. And then they're pleasantly surprised to learn that health benefits come right along with it. That's
right. In fact, I typically take that approach too. It's easier to appeal to somebody's vanity because their health can be something that's off into the future.
Right.
Right. Easy to put off, but it's like, hey, you want to look good for summer? People respond well to that.
Right. So you join our conversation this morning with years and years of experience really with the health side of it, because whenever you are healthy, your body just looks and performs better. I use the word perform because you've got quite a resume in working with professional athletes and helping their bodies work optimally.
Right. Actually, there's almost no difference between working with professional athletes and regular people. Sometimes the results are a little bit more extreme with the professional athletes just because they're genetically gifted, but they're no different than the rest of us. They also would rather sleep in. They would also rather eat cheesecake than maybe a healthier option. So it is interesting. I think a lot of individuals think that professional athletes may have it easy. They don't.
Okay, so let me pick up on some tips that you kind of shared with me to kind of help us cover a lot in the little bit of time that we have. So first crack out of the gate, you're a fan of intermittent fasting. You like that approach?
It's certainly easier to stick to than calorie restriction. Calorie restriction, well, there's a caveat to that. When you're low carbohydrate, you're not hungry. Most of us who are constantly eating carbohydrates, we're depending on the glucose system of energy, which means as soon as we're done burning glucose, the last meal we had, we want more. And this is why sometimes people wake up in the morning, they go to work, and by 9 a.m. they're hangry. They really need to eat something. And there's a physiological need for them to eat that they're feeling from inside their body. Whereas if you break that cycle and you start using the ketogenic fuel system of the body, by the way, ketogenic nutrition is not a fad, it's an actual system of energy in the body. We have two systems. We typically only use the glucose system because we're just constantly shoveling sugar in our mouth. And whether that sugar is broccoli or whether that sugar is a candy bar, it still keeps us dependent on that same glucose system. So by breaking that cycle, and that's one thing intermittent fasting does, you end up burning your own body fat. Instead, in fact, this is an interesting cocktail party conversation, a little tidbit. The highest your low density lipoprotein, LDL, which used to be called bad cholesterol. It's not really, it's actually wonderful now because we have a better understanding of it. It is highest when you're in the fasted state. So saying LDL is bad for you is like saying weight loss is bad for you.
Okay, so there's so much that we can talk about. So I want to, something else. So in your work with athletes, you would think a layperson that, oh, they must be working out all the time, doing the cardio workout. We've kind of got a misunderstanding of that too. More cardio does not always equal weight loss.
Even a little bit of cardio does not equal weight loss. Cardio, it upregulates cortisol. Cortisol does two primary things to our body composition. And when you do cardio in rapid succession, every couple of days, like it keeps this elevated level of cortisol. Cortisol does two things. It gets rid of muscle. So when people start to lose weight, when they start doing like 5Ks or whatever they're doing to what they think is lose weight, what they're losing is muscle. And the other thing cortisol does is it preserves body fat. So it keeps you as fat as possible, as long as possible. This is exactly the opposite of what people want when they're typically doing cardio to lose weight. But they don't know that. Now, the research has been out there for 40 years, and there are a few people who have said it, but the gym industry, it's a little too much science for them to present. Plus, they're selling you access to treadmills, so they don't really care if you're misled.
So did I hear you say that when you work out, you are creating cortisol, you're building cortisol, but the cortisol is what causes you to hold on to the fat?
That's right.
So it's a self-perpetuating problem.
Right. It just makes the problem worse.
Okay.
Doesn't make it better.
I left something out in introducing you that was an error on my part, but I'm hoping you'll go there with me, because that is that you have invented this bone density building technology. Is that what's called X3? And can you explain that?
That's OsteoStrong. I invented,
okay.
X3 was my second invention.
Okay, can you give us a synopsis then of the OsteoStrong and how you got started with that? What led you to that?
So yeah, I developed it to treat my mother's osteoporosis. So she was diagnosed with osteoporosis many years ago. Felt like it was going to be very limiting for her life. She read some of the fracture statistics and was terrified. And then she was prescribed medications that she didn't want to take because she thought the side effects were just unreasonable. So what I did was I built an impact emulation device. So OsteoStrong works like a lot of exercises do, but in a controlled and measured way, so that we put axial force through the bone. So this is my humerus bone. We're putting load from one end to the other. So taking that bone and compressing it end to end. It's a process that actually feels fantastic. As soon as that compression is released, because inside the bone, it looks like a honeycomb, all those little walls inside the bone become slightly bent. Then they spring back into position. When they spring back into position, now they're stimulated to pull in minerals or recalcify. This is the normal process that children use and teenagers use to build bone. They're running, they're jumping, they're going through high impact. So we emulate the impact to get the same effect.
Is that something, how do people access OsteoStrong?
There are clinics. There's 250 clinics in 12 different countries.
Okay.
And quite a few in Tennessee, actually.
Okay. I have to tell you that I could talk to you for the full hour if we had time. I have question after question after question, and you have got resume bragging right after resume bragging right. And I wish that we had more time, but if other people want to find out more about you or to check out the book that you have written, how do they do that? On Amazon? They get your
The book on Amazon, it's called Weightlifting is a Waste of Time. It's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. The other place is my website, which leads to all my social links, is drj.com, DOCTOR, the letter J.
Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope that we can do it again. So I'm not going to worry so much about hitting that steep hill in my neighborhood today when I go for my walk. So thank you for that.
Better choice. All right.
Great talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Siding doesn't just protect your home, it reflects the functional, beautiful, true heart of your home. And RSW is Chattanooga's premium supplier of James Hardie fiber cement siding. Call RSW today.
We offer a non-opioid, non-narcotic, and most importantly, non-addictive means of dealing with certain mood disorders and chronic pain disorders. At Scenic City Neurotherapy, we are invested in our patient outcomes. We're not here to treat you for the short term. We are committed to following you through to the end of your process. And that looks different for everybody. We are working to help you reclaim your quality of life.